Hi everyone. So for this week, the discussion question is, give an example of a situation in which you or a colleague had a conflicting approach or procedural variation than another. Did you experimentally evaluate the variations to determine which was most effective or efficient and why not? And then explore how you could actually evaluate the program to determine this. So where I currently work, we work with schools. And usually whenever we get a new client or get who enters the program, I'm the person that usually contacts the school to kind of see what problems are going on, what concerns they have, and kind of how they're handling the behaviors of the individual of our client. So this one client in particular, the school had been talking about how in the past, since the beginning of the school year, but the behavior had increased, the student or the client would escape from the classroom, and then the teacher would lock the door, and then he would go to the office, and then he would just sit there, and they would never try to let the student go back into the classroom. They just let him sit in the office, and they felt like that was a better option for him than trying to get him to go back into the classroom. So I had called a counselor to kind of discuss what was going on. I kind of had her identify what behaviors and when the behavior occurred. So while we were sitting there and discussing everything while I was on the phone, the second she told me that whenever he is asked to do something or is told to do something, or that he doesn't want to do something, he escapes or he runs out of the classroom. So I kind of discussed some other options with her as to how to handle and why possibly he was behaving the way he was. Unfortunately, we saw it differently. I saw it as an escape behavior from doing work. She thought it was more of just an attention-seeking behavior. But just by her verbal description, I just kind of felt like possibly escape. Obviously, I didn't have the data to confirm that, but just kind of the things she was saying, it just seemed like an escape, and she thought it was attention-seeking behavior. However, unfortunately, we were never able to actually sit down and evaluate what was really going on with him and what was going on in the classroom. We had tried several times to go into the school, but unfortunately, it was too late in the school year, probably about a month and a half out, and they didn't feel like it was necessary for us to come in. So the way that I would go about trying to go in and explore would to actually go observe him or her, the client, in the situation to see when and what was going on around him, and then maybe make some suggestions off of that from the data that I had collected during that time, and then sit down with the school, and maybe we could possibly come up with a different behavior or a different intervention to kind of help him stay in the classroom, because the next time that I talked to them, they decided that they were just going to do Skype, and that's how they were going to handle the behaviors from now on. They just weren't going to put up the fight, and they were not even going to try to gradually get him back into the classroom. If he escaped, he was just going to sit in the office, and he would just do his work from Skype. And they said he was content with that, and that's what he wanted, and he seemed to do better in the office rather than in the classroom. And like I said, unfortunately, since it was the end of the school year, we couldn't really do much to try to help with the behavior intervention or try to intervene or try to brainstorm. But like I said, if I could have intervened, the way I would have gone about it would be to go in, observe the client for a while to see what behaviors were going on, what happened. So do the ABC data collection and just collect all that information and kind of go from there. So that is my discussion. I'm curious to see what you guys have to say about this particular situation. Thanks.